together is also considered sewed. That's also some idea of sewing, connecting two things together, and you cannot take it apart. Just two things that are glued together can't pull apart. Two things that are stable together, you can't take apart. That's the malacha of kireya, tearing. Now the question over here is, what about if you have a bench? You know, many times you pick up a bench on Shabbos, and you want to take the pages, you want to open up the pages, and it's stuck together. Is that considered kireya? We said there's something that's stuck together. It's like sewn, and you can't take it apart. It's kireya, you're tearing. You open up a bench, and the pages are stuck together. It happens. You want to take apart the pages. So, are we going to say that it's prohibited because it's kireya? You're tearing. It's glued. It's stuck, right? So if there's glue or food or whatever was used to paste it together, are you allowed to take apart the pages? That's my question.
No.
No, because it's glued together. Could you give us a different perspective, perhaps? Now you have to keep.
They're not meant to be stuck together.
Correct. So the malacha of tearing is something that was glued together, stuck together, pasted together, sewn together. It was never pasted together intentionally. It happened by mistake. It got stuck together, but that wasn't the intention. So it's not. So if you're taking it apart, that's not kireya. Kireya is the opposite of something that's sewn. It was sewn together. Now you take it apart. It was never put together intentionally. So there's no problem taking it apart. However, you need to be careful because sometimes you could be tearing letters. You know, sometimes the pages are stuck together on the bench and you pull it apart. There's letters and you're tearing letters, and you cannot tear letters. That's a separate halacha. You cannot write letters and cannot tear letters. So that's something you have to be careful with a bencher. As we're on the topic of tearing, so there are, for example, we discussed toilet paper, and we discussed that already, right? Toilet paper, paper towels, right?
Yeah.
Right. We're not okay. So what is the problem of tearing toilet paper, paper towels? There could be two issues. There's another malacha called mechatech. Called mechatech. Anyone knows what mechatech means? Mechatech is cutting to a specific size. In the Mishkan, they would cut the tapestries. They used the materials. They used one of the things that covered the tabernacle. The Mishkan was the skin of an animal, and they would have to cut it to a specific size. The skin of an animal is like not a square shape. You'd have to cut it to a specific size. So anytime you're cutting to a specific size, that's mechatech. So let's say I take this tissue paper and I need to have a specific size. I need exactly this size. I need this exactly a certain size. I need exactly this size. Just the exact size I need. Why do I need it? I have no idea. Okay, so that's mechatech. So if you're cutting paper towels on the seam where it's stitched together, that is mechatech. You're cutting toilet paper, that is mechatech. You're cutting to a specific size. Okay, so I won't cut it on the seam. I'll say, maybe I can use toilet paper, I can use paper towels and Shabbos. I won't cut it where it's perforated. I'll cut it away. How about if I cut it away from there? What is the problem? There's another problem. There are a lot of problems here. Another malacha, which is so the name of the malacha is makeh b'patish. That's the name of the malacha, makeh b'patish, which means hitting. Patish is a hammer. Makeh means hitting b'patish. Patish means a hammer. That was like the completion of the malacha. Like if you're forming a vessel, those old days they made vessels, kalim, and then you have to work in it, and then by the end, after everything is complete, it's just the finishing touch. You want to bang it just to straighten it out and complete the kalim. So makeh patish. So anytime you do anything that you complete the malacha, now it's fit, it's ready to be used. Then it goes into makeh patish. But the term that we always use, that's the name of the malacha. but the what is used in terms of the tulda, right? So there's always the Av, there's the Malacha that was in the Mishkan. We always say in the Mishkan there was 39 Avos, 39 fathers of Malachas of, and then there's tulda. Tulda means what's tulda? So it can be offshoots, birth, children, tuldas, offshoots. So, for example, in the Mishkan, they did grinding. They would grind the herbs. They would grind it. That's the Av. And the tool of grinding is anything that you take and you cut it to very, very thin slices. So take a vegetable, cut it very, very thin. We discussed it. Then that's the tulda, because it's similar to the Av. You're cutting it very, very, very thin. So anything in the Mishkan is the Av, anything similar is the tulda. The tulda is in the same category as the Av, just a different name. It has it has to do the result of knowing if it's Avatul that has it relates to the how many sin offerings you would bring in times of Beis Hamikdash, so you know how many transgressions you did, if you did a few of them, and if it's from the same one. Anyways, whatever it is, there's a reason why there's a practical application knowing if it's an Av or a Tulda in terms of a different discussion. But in terms of we're discussing here, in terms of the malacha, the transgression, it's the same exact severity. Whether you do an Av or a Tulda, it's the same thing, it's just different names. So the Av is Machla Patish, and the Tulda is Tikkun Kelim. So bottom line is, Tikkun Kelim means fixing, literally means fixing a kelim, making a kelim, making something fit for use. Anytime you make something fit for use, that's Tikkun Kelim. Okay, so now practically, what are we talking about over here? If let's say I don't need a specific size, I need. Okay, let's be easy to use this. Just use the paper towels. I'm cutting paper towels not on the perforated, not where it's perforated. I'm cutting it somewhere else. Why are you cutting it? To use it, right? Now, could you use it before you cut it? Not really. You could, but it's not really the way you want to use it. So by you cutting the paper towel or the toilet paper, now you're making it fit for use. So that's Tikkun Kelim. So even if you don't cut it on where it's perforated, it's still Tikkun Kelim. So some people think, oh, you can't cut it where it's perforated, so cut it away. No. When you cut where it's perforated, then it's mechatich, cutting to specific size. You cut it away, it's still primitive because of Tikkun Kelim, because you're making it fit for use. By you cutting it, now you could use it. Now it's usable. Is that clear? Now, talking about sewing, okay, before we get to one more thing, on the topic of Tikkun Kelim. So what about opening up a can of tuna on Shabbos? When you open a can of tuna, what is the problem? The problem is Tikkun Kelim. You're making the can into a kelim. Take off the lid. Now the can is a kelim. Your intention is not to make the can into a kelim, but that's what's happening. Now the can becomes a kelim. Now there are leniencies for this because you're not really interested in the can. In the old days, I think it was more likely, maybe 40, 50 years ago, they finished with the tuna, they would use the can for something and put something inside, wash it out. Now it's not meant to be used that way, so you're not really interested in the kelim. So really, it shouldn't be much of an issue in terms of Tikkun Kelim. But there's another problem. The other problem is because there's something called binyan. There's something called binyan, building. There's goyner, there's building. And there's soysa, destroying. One of the 39 halachas is goyner, building. Another one is soysa, destroying something that's built. Now, generally, building is by a building, a structure. Like, for example, I can't knock a nail to the wall, it's building. Anything that's a kelim, this table is a kelim, really there's no building. Building is not by kelim, by vessels. But if it's very strong, then it could be binyan. So if I, let's say, putting something together, I usually keep my phone downstairs this time, put it up. But if you put it very strong together, if you put a lot of pressure and you put it together very strongly, then that's also going to be binyan, because you're putting a lot of pressure. Let's say you have chairs. The chairs now aren't like that, which we're not going to discuss this if the legs. The legs of a chair. There's some chairs which probably not so common. The leg comes out, then you push it back in, right? Or anything. The other thing, you can think of different things that came in, that you stick it back in, you put it together. How much force do you need to put it back in? If you need a lot of force, like very hard, you push it really hard, then it's called building, because you have to use tremendous force. So when it comes to a structure, when it comes to a building, when it comes to a structure, when it comes to a structure, a building, even if you're not using tremendous force, it's still called binyan. So for example, the windows here, sometimes, okay. If I didn't have this phone with me, I wouldn't have to deal with this song calling a million times.
It's popular.
Phone a million times, the same number. Hello. Yeah, I'm not sure it's. You call in 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Okay. Only 25 minutes. So let's see the window here. Just pick this up. This over here. This, right? This could come out. But officially, you could pull this out. You don't need a lot of force. If you push the tabs together over here, you could slide out this window. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Slide it up.
You can slide it out. This window is broken.
These also these work. Thinking like not like this.
Good. You just get it in.
Yeah.
Look at this window here. I think it's funny something about building. The thing is, now, this window, you could technically come out. It's broken, but it can. But if it was working properly, you'll be able to slide it out and just take out the window. And it's very easy to do. Maybe over here. See how it's coming out from here?
Oh, yeah.
So this one is broken. This one can't, because it's broken. But if it wasn't broken, I could just slide out very easy and then snap it back in. It's not it's not hard, right? You don't need to have it strong. You just have to know what you're doing. You snap it together, you pull it out, you put it back in. Now, it doesn't seem like you're doing any building. You can't build on Shabbos. If I were to tell you, if you snap it out, you're destroying the building. You put it back in, you're building. You will laugh. That's called building. According to halacha, this is called building and destroying. Because anything that's part of a structure is building. If there's a nail in the wall, then I take out the nail or destroy it, because it's a building, it's a structure. I take the nail, put it back in. The hole is there already. Just sticking the nail back inside, that's a very big issue. But when it comes to something that's not a structure, not part of a building, it's like, but this is no building. So, you're putting things together. Let's say, okay, don't talk about kids playing with toys. That's something else. But even anything that you put together, if you have to use if you don't have to use any force, you're just putting it together. It's the same type, it's just as easy as the window. In, clicking in, out. In the window, following this? In the window, because it's a building, that's called building. But anything that's not, it's a keli is not building unless you're using a lot of force. Yes.
I want to ask, if I have, if I, that I have to put
What?
the legs. Please,
If what?
if they will,
Table?
yes, that I have to put the legs. I can't take the shot, yeah.
I'm not on the table. And if you have to use a lot of force, then it's called building.
Oh, you can put on it, you can.
I know what it is. Putting legs into a table?
Yeah.
What kind of legs?
I have some people, no.
If it's meant to be,
Yes, a plastic table.
well, opening up the table. No, you can't open up the table. You mean a foldable table, open it up, close it, open
No.
it.
It's like a table, but we have the legs, so you like, it's like a plate that you put.
You have to take out the legs and put it back in?
Yeah,
Do you have to use a lot of force? It's like
No.
very hard. You can push it really hard.
no,
It goes in and out.
Yeah.
But in,
Yeah.
out, in, out.
yeah.
Then, if you don't have to use any force, if it's very easy to put in and out, then there's no problem.
Like this, yes, like this.
Let me see this. If it goes in and out, then it's not an issue.
Okay. Thank you.
But there could be an issue. But it could be, when you get into it more, there could be an issue. You see, when it comes to, or just think another issue, for example, Legos, right? When it comes to, what's the story with Legos? Kids play with Legos or different clicks that clicks together? Yeah, I know magnetize. So the question is, are kids allowed to play with that? So because it's not meant to stay this way, it's okay. But suppose they would stay this way because so if it's strong, it clicks in very strongly. I have to double check about that because over there they're not putting a lot of pressure. And if they're using it, okay, a question just came to my mind about what's, I have to look into it further, but generally speaking, we're gonna get into more details. If it's any key that you put together, you don't have to use a lot of pressure, it just clicks in easy, that's not called building, that's not called building. But we have to talk more about, and the Legos is not an issue because it's not meant to stay this way. But there's still some things some questions that came to our mind that I have to look into. Yeah.
So if a child were building a Lego set and they had the intention that I'm going to build this, never take it apart, but
That's exactly my question.
Oh.
It seems that it's an issue, but my question now, I'm not remembering what should be a problem, because if it's not, if you don't have to use pressure, could be to making it very strong. It's clicking in a very strong way. I have to check about it. Probably it's more of a rabbinic. We'll get back to that. Okay, we need some clarity in that. Okay. Oh, we started talking about the can of tuna, then we went to something else. Right. So the can of tuna, why should it be a problem? Now, how do we get to that? Because anytime when it's even though it's not attached to the ground, but it's a separate cable. But if you're using force, that's building. So force to build or destroy. To open up a can of tuna is very strong. So you need a can opener. So that's called destroying. It's like that's but before you pull it off, it's very strong. Pretty strong. It's not light. So it's a strong cable. So that becomes the issue of destroying a kingdom, destroying a structure. Like you're not allowed to build, you're not allowed to destroy. Even though it's not a building, we said before, by a building, Doesn't make a difference if it's strong or not. If it's a keli, if it's strong, it's an issue. Whether you're building it or destroying it. So that's the problem with a can of tuna, because you're destroying a keli. You're destroying a building. You want to use that term? It's like it's looked as like a structure. You know, it's not a building, but it's strong. So it's soisid, it's destroying. So there are opinions that are lenient, and they say if you make a hole from the bottom, it's okay. But a lot of the Rabbanim don't accept it. My father doesn't accept it because he says it's still soisid. You're still destroying a building. There are lenient opinions. And they say if you make a hole on the bottom, it's okay, because now for sure it's not a vessel, it's not usable. That's the leniency. Now, for sure, you could ask a non-Jew to open up a can of tuna. So even though usually we say, whatever you're not allowed, you can't tell a guy, that's generally the rule. No, you're not allowed, you can't do it. With a can of tuna, that is clearly said you could, because there are different opinions, and some say even you could do it, even though we don't do it, but the tell guy, that's 100%. That's why that's when it comes to telling non-Jews, it's very confusing. You could, you can't. People do this, because everything has its own rule, depending what it is, what's going on, why, where, when. So this is one of the things they can tell a guy directly on Shabbos, open up cans of tuna directly.
Okay, so you can't ask directly.
You could, yeah, you can ask directly, right? Yes, yeah.
For the issue you can have tuna of like making a vessel, that applies to anything like, sometimes there's like jars of salsa that are like glass jars. You could use it after, but like they're big, so you wouldn't necessarily like finish it in one shot.
Glass.
Yeah,
So glass jar, when you're opening up the lid, you're not making a vessel, because the opening is there already.
okay,
It's just a vacuum pack, but you're not making a hole.
okay.
You're not breaking anything. The vessel is there already. Yeah. The same with opening the bottle of wine with a cork. Bottle of wine with a cork. If you pull out the cork, is that making the vessel? The opening is there. It's stuffed up. You're pulling out the stuffing.
What's the issue? We didn't talk about it earlier in the year, like some people are shirts with like soda cans. Is it for this reason?
Soda cans is like this. So what's the story with soda cans? Here's the thing. So according to many opinions, including my father, he holds that when you open up a can of soda, so the tab breaks off. It's like attached. You know what I'm talking about? It's attached and it breaks off.
That you use to open it?
Do we have such a can over here? You open up the bottle, so it's attached and it breaks off.
Yeah,
So my father holds that that's called, you're making the cap into a vessel. It was attached, and you pull it off, it breaks off. Here's the thing. The early years of the Fabrengen, by the Rabbis Fabrengen, they had certain types of soda there. I think the company was Cornell, I think so. Not before my times. And those were there saying that they never opened up those bottles by Fabrengen, even though they broke off. They opened up on Shabbos. So there are many people that say they saw it, they never do it, and they say that means okay. So just the thing. Now here, what's not clear is it could be those bottles were different because they were plastic. There's some discussion about it. It's a very complicated topic. There's a lot of material on this. So our people who are lenient and our people are strict. It's not clear cut. When it comes to opening up bags, bottles, things, there's a lot of different opinions. Some are lenient, some are strict. Usually there's always, you cannot tell a person they're doing something wrong because there's okay. The same also with opening up a bag of potato chips, right? So before we go to, is this clear about what we discussed about the bottles now, before we go to the next one? Yeah. Now, a bag of potato chips, a bag of, it's glued together. Are you making a vessel? No vessel there because you're not using it again. And the vessel was glued together. No, and actually, no, take that back. Theoretically, it could be a vessel if you would want to use the bag, because it's stuck, it's actually stuck together. But you're not going to use it yet, you follow what I'm saying over here? It's stuck together. A bag of chips, you're not gonna use it. Suppose after you eat chips, you take the bag and you save the bag to reuse it again. That means when you open it up, you made a vessel, because but it's not, it's going into the garbage. And what's the problem? Most people open bags of chips and Shabbos. Accepted. There are those that are strict. And the reason is because of what we said before. We had the law of Teves, sewing, tearing. We said anything that's glued together is sewing. Something that's glued together and you take it apart is tearing. The bag of chips is glued together. So it's sewn together. So how can you open up the bag of chips? How can you open it up?
Take a knife and destroy the bag.
No, that's what I meant to say. I meant to say, what is the reason that people open it? It's best not to. But what is the reason? Actually, I meant to ask. Right. What is the reason why? Yeah. What is the reason why people open it? If it's glued together, and we said if you glue something together, it's tight. It's sewn. You know what I mean? If it's sewn, you can't take it apart. You tear it. So how are people allowed? I'm going to explain why people do it, why people are lenient. It is definitely better not to. That's the ideal situation. The ideal way how people should act for Shabbos is not to open it. But people do it. What's the justification? They're not. You can't say they're desecrating Shabbos. I mean, you can. I mean, if someone desecrates, you could say that. Saying in this case, he's not desecrating Shabbos. I mean, we're not desecrating Shabbos. What's the logic why it's okay?
They do it in a way that is like you don't tear any letters. You
No.
are completely destroying.
No, open up the bag.
That I've not seen. Okay.
You said before there's a way to open it. You tear it. Sure, it's better not to open it up. But what's the justification? Why it's justified what they're doing, and they're not really desecrating Shabbos. You know it's better not to do it, but there's justification. So that helps us. They're not making a vessel. If you glue something, you do. The kids to watch it happen. You do glue something together, and you glue it with the intention that it should stay glued. That's sewn.
Oh, it's
If
not
it's sewed,
meant to be.
you got it. The bag of chips is not meant to stay this way. They glue it temporary. But it's not so if that's the case, why are people strict? The reason why people are strict is because factually, it's going to stay stuck for 24 hours. So the main opinion is that if it's not there, if it's not sewn together to be permanent, it's okay. But there are opinions that say even if it's not permanent, it's still an issue. So that's why many people are strict. They don't open it up because they say, hey, it's sewn together. It wasn't sewn to be permanent, but there are opinions that say even if it's not sewn to be permanent, it's still an issue. So that's why it is best not to. The proper thing is really it shouldn't be done. It should be done before Shabbos. That's the proper thing. But people who do it, they do it. We don't tell them they're wrong because there is legit opinions to rely on that say it wasn't sewn with intention, right? Gluing is like sewn, so it wasn't sewn with intention to stay this way. It's only until you open it. It's not meant to stay this way. It's a temporary thing until you open it. Right? It's just, to keep it closed for now.
How about the same with the bottle?
What?
Bottle,
With what?
the bottle. A bottle of wine, not wine, of water. Water.
A bottle of water,
Like
yeah.
a seltzer bottle.
So I'm discussing where it's glued together. A bottle of water, the cap you talking about? The cap?
Yes, like a normal water.
Open up the cap.
Yeah.
So you don't mind if it's connected, so we discussed it before. If it's stuck, if it's connected together, so you open the bottle, it's breaking off.
So we have
That's
to
what you mean?
open before.
So our opinion, they say they never did it by the baby, even though it broke off. But it could be that it was plastic. Question is, it applied to other things also, to metal. Yeah, people are strict. It's better to open it before Shabbos. No question of it's better to open before Shabbos. But it could be lenient. In most of these things, it's people are lenient and it's accepted, but is it better to open before Shabbos? It's better to open before Shabbos. Yeah.
How much do you, like, let's say, every week I open cans of cat food for my cat to feed her on Shabbos?
Mhm.
How much, does it matter if I just open a tiny bit and that's like,
Before,
yeah,
I mean to continue opening it more?
Yeah.
To widen it? It's like a can of tuna?
Yeah. Like-
So on a practical level, why don't you just open it completely? That's
because
the,
it'll dry out in the fridge. It's wet cat food.
it's
And I
still
don't
an
want the fridge to
issue.
smell like cat
It's still
food.
an issue because according to what we explained, my father holds that it's like destroying the vessel, so you're destroying it more and more. Being that it's metal, it's steel, it's strong, the more you open it, the more you're destroying it.
So I should open.
Are there
it.
leans opinions? Yeah, there are leans opinions. I've heard a few in from different angles that want to say that it's not an issue, but, so you want to go the lenient way, the stringent way, you could go either way, yeah.
Okay, so the best would be to open it all the way, maybe put it in a
Once
plastic
open
baggie
the
or something.
plastic container, seal it, put it in the fridge. That's the best thing, yeah. Okay, any other questions? Okay, we'll stop here. Be fast. Good job.
I joined the committee.
Thank you. That's what we did. They were asking us to have it, and then that's meeting, I guess, yeah. Yeah. Sí, yo también le tenía acá, pero ahora tenía
Regarding the Lego, I guess I'll discuss it next week, and I guess quickly read it first in the class. The issue with the Legos on Shabbos is with children, we said it could be a problem if they leave it there. And we said only if it's strong. It seems because we're talking about the Legos that they do many times is strong. When it's not as strong, but it's strong. It's quick and very strong. I think that's why if they would leave it, there would be a problem. If it wouldn't be strong, it shouldn't be a problem. But I'm still I have to look into it more, because why, I'm not sure why it's considered strong. Very easy, you don't need to use, now using pressure, that's why I have this question in my mind that came during class, like I don't understand why it's an issue. Because when it comes to the caning, if it's not strong, it's not a problem. So why is it an issue with? I mean, it's not an issue with children playing because they don't usually leave it this way.
Yeah.
But if they would leave it, it seems there would be an issue. I'm not sure why now. I have to look into it more.
The role, like they have different Legos for different ages, but really little kids.
Well, in any case, little kids, not necessarily have to bother them. If a 3-year-old, not necessarily is it such a major issue because they don't really understand it. You could tell them not to do it, but they do it, they don't understand yet. Till they're like 3, 4 about, they start understanding when you say you're not allowed to do it. Like when they're 2 years old, before 3, they don't understand what he's telling them. They're all they understand is that you don't want them, you're not letting them do it. They don't get that you're not, that you're stopping them because of Shabbos. They don't make the connection. So if they don't understand that it's because of Shabbos, they're not really at the age of chinuch. We anyways try to, we sort of try to push them anyways into a nice way. They're going, you're not allowed. But if they do it, they do it. It's not like, it's not so terrible. Yeah.
At what point is medication considered medication where you wouldn't need a lecture? Like, I know it's a hard question.
That's never noticed. He teaches kashrut. He's very familiar with this thing. When you don't need a passion. The person is sick, you need it to. It's an open-ended question because whether you don't need a hechsher, how sick is the person, and what is the product? Is the product really not kosher, or just that you're being strict because certain ingredients aren't kosher? It depends. It's not.
There's an actually of a generation in my family, like a lot of the women over time are blind. At least on my father's side, and I inherited some of those traits. My doctor told me I need to take this one supplement. The best one is not kosher.
What makes it not kosher?
I think it might have gelatin.
Could you put it into a veggie cap?
But no, it's like a gel cap.
Could you put that into a veggie cap, that large veggie cap?
Like take the gel cap, not open it, but just put it inside of another.
Yeah.
Maybe.
How big is it?
Like that big.
It's a big pill?
Decent size, not massive, but like.
Go to Apple Drugs and they have veggie caps. Get the largest size. It might not fit in.
But if
That's the best thing. If you can, and there's no other way, there's nothing else. You wrap it in a piece of paper,
and then swallow the
In,
paper.
in a tissue, it's on a paper tissue.
Maybe,
In the palms as well.
it might be very hard. to
Tissue is
swallow.
not so, not the bad tissue.
My nephew eats them sometimes,
Yeah.
so.
That's the best thing. It's the best thing to do.
Why is it, okay, why would it, what's the logic there, putting it inside it, like a veggie gel pack?
And then it's not touching the throat.
Oh,
Eating is when it's touching the throat. Because it's wrapped up in something that's not edible, it's not called eating. And eating something that's disgusting, it's not called eating. And eating is what's going down your throat.
yeah, thank you.
Something is the poison. Right now, poison.